On the subway. The old man next to me stared at my belly. I took out my cell phone and was about to call the police. He said grimly, "Girl, the baby spirit in your belly has been replaced by someone." I stared at him in astonishment. The old man had gray beard and gray hair, but he was full of energy and looked different from an ordinary person. "Girl, a pregnant woman's belly cannot be touched casually. Not only was your belly touched by an outsider, but the other person was also a pregnant woman. She was contaminated with evil magic and replaced your fetus. She replaced the healthy fetus in your belly with a dead fetus." I thought about it carefully. I had been feeling really uncomfortable these days. My lower abdomen aches slightly and I often wake up in pain in the middle of the night. Moreover, I have very poor sleep and am often troubled by nightmares. Is there really something wrong with the fetus? "Uncle, I went to the hospital for a checkup and everything is normal," I said half believingly and half doubtingly. The old man smoothed his gray beard. "The tire was changed after the checkup. If you go for a checkup now, the result may not be good." I felt uneasy and decided not to go to the park for a walk and get off directly at the hospital stop. "Uncle, can you leave me a phone number? Just in case." The old man took out his old phone and exchanged contact information. Before leaving, he said, "Girl, meeting is fate. I can save your life within 3 days. After 3 days, even gods can't save you." I couldn't help but speed up my pace. I checked it in a panic, and the result surprised me. The doctor said, "My fetus has stopped." How is it possible? I had a prenatal checkup last week and I didn't have any problems. I couldn't believe this fact. The doctor explained a bunch of academic reasons to me, and finally came to the conclusion and suggested that I abort it as soon as possible. I left in despair, with the excuse of going back to discuss with my family. Passing the corridor, 2 young nurses whispered, "There are so many pregnant women with fetal arrest now. A few days ago, a pretty expectant mother refused to abort. People are under great pressure and are seriously polluted. Their health is not very good. I don't know what happened to that patient. She never came again." I stopped suddenly. The old man's words came to my mind. She exchanged the healthy fetus in your belly with a dead fetus. Not only was your belly touched by an outsider, but the other party was also a pregnant woman. The only pregnant person around me who has had contact with me is my best friend, Su Jiao. I turned and walked towards the nurse. "Hello, may I ask what is the name of the patient you just mentioned who had a miscarriage? I want to contact her to exchange experiences." The nurses looked at each other and apologized. "We cannot disclose the privacy of patients." I took out my mobile phone again and flipped through the photos of my best friend. "Look, is it her? We are best friends, and we both had prenatal checkups in your hospital." The young nurse took a closer look and exclaimed, "Yes. Yes." The nurse next to her pushed her. "There are many patients every day, maybe you saw the wrong person, you should come for a follow-up visit earlier." As soon as I walked out of the hospital gate, I called the old man. "Yesterday, I went shopping with my best friend. During lunch, she touched my belly and joked that she gave birth to a son and I gave birth to a daughter, and we would be in-laws in the future. How did she manage to change the tire with just a few touches? Can I change the child I carried with great difficulty?" The old man said that he could help me, and the price was 20,000 yuan. If I didn't take the money, I would bear the consequences. I held the hospital's test report, gritted my teeth, and agreed. We agreed to meet in the park. The old man chose an unmanned corner facing west at the intersection to discuss with me. I gave a deposit of 10,000 yuan first, and then paid another 10,000 yuan after the matter was completed. The old man gave me a talisman with strange patterns painted on it. "When you go to bed at night, stick it on your belly and don't take it off all night. It will keep you safe and sound." I carefully put the talisman paper in my bag. "What about the child?" The old man counted with his fingers. "It takes 3 days and 3 nights to change the tire. She touched you at noon yesterday, and it has been just 1 day and 1 night until noon today. We still have time to change it back." The old man handed me another square piece of red cloth. She changed the dead fetus, not the gender, and it is not as simple as touching the belly. There must be something hiding in your house, you must find it when you go back today. Wrap the thing with red cloth and give it to me tomorrow. Burn it at noon. This is the first step to crack her evil spell of changing the tire. I will tell you what to do next tomorrow. I was shocked. My best friend hasn't been to my house these days, how could she hide something in my house? Could this old man be a liar? If you don't believe me, just go back and look for it. If you find it, it will be real. The old man saw the doubts in my heart and promised confidently. If you can't find it, you can't keep this pregnancy, and I will return the money to you. I hurried home and began to search through the boxes and cabinets for strange things. I don't know what the thing is, it will definitely not be put in the open. I searched the cabinets, drawers, and windows, but nothing was unusual. There was nothing under the sofa. Under the bed. I turned on the flashlight, lay on my side, and suddenly saw a black wooden box, which looked strange. It was definitely not something I bought. I took out the wooden box. I nervously opened it and looked at it. There were 2 dolls sewn with needle and thread in the box. The man was on the left and the woman was on the right. The man was wearing black and the woman was wearing red. The man held a knife in both hands. The woman had her hands tied behind her back. Even more bizarre was the man's bulging abdomen. The woman's belly was cut open. I was so scared that I almost screamed. No wonder I had nightmares every day these days. There was such a terrifying voodoo doll hidden under my bed. Suddenly, there was a sound of a door opening in the living room. My husband came back. I quickly wrapped the voodoo doll with red cloth, hid it in my bag, and threw the box under the bed. My husband pushed open the bedroom door. "Wife, what are you doing? Why do you look so bad? Are you sweating so much?" I was nervous, as if an invisible force was tightly wrapped around my chest, making it difficult to breathe. "Honey, I have a stomachache these 2 days. Will our baby be okay?" I held Shinjia's hand and asked tentatively. After all, it is his flesh and blood. As a couple, I hope to get help from my husband. Shinjia helped me sit on the bed and put his arm around my shoulders to comfort me. "Don't be afraid, we are still young. If the baby is gone, we can have another one later." How did he know the baby was gone? The nerves in my head tightened instantly. How could a normal father say such an unlucky thing to his pregnant wife? Shinjia was comforting me on the surface. In fact, he seemed to have known that I would have a miscarriage. "Honey, I want to go for a checkup and change a few more hospitals to have a look." I tried again. Shinjia patted my back gently, his voice so gentle that there was no flaw. "I just went there last week, and everything was fine, right? I'm busy with work these 2 days, I'll take a leave next Monday to go with you." I quietly calculated the days. Next Monday is exactly the 4th day since my bestie touched my belly. The old man said that it takes 3 days and 3 nights to change the tire before it can be stable. It's too much of a coincidence. I didn't dare to expose this blindly, so I agreed first. "Okay, I'll take good care of myself these days, and we'll go to the hospital next Monday." When I went to bed at night, while Shinjia was taking a bath, I put the amulet with strange patterns on my belly and covered it with pajamas. I slept very soundly in the first half of the night. In the second half of the night, I was awakened by a nightmare again. In the dream, a bloody baby without human skin crawled out from under my bed. It lay on my pillow, crying like a whine, and the cry was miserable and creepy. I was awakened by the shock and found that my head was covered by a heavy quilt. I wanted to lift the quilt, however, the quilt seemed to become infinitely large, and no matter how I struggled, I couldn't lift it. A wet little hand suddenly held my big hand. I turned my head and looked. There was a blood baby in the quilt. It rolled its eyeballs and opened its mouth to me, "Mom." I screamed in shock. I sat up suddenly. The house was dark. There was no moonlight outside the window. I subconsciously touched the talisman on my abdomen. It was gone. I quickly turned on the light and lifted the quilt to look for it everywhere. The talisman seemed to have disappeared out of thin air. Creaking, Shinjia suddenly pushed open the bedroom door, his eyes close to the crack of the door, revealing half of his dark face. Wife. Are you looking for it? He stretched a hand through the crack of the door, holding the talisman given to me by the old man between his pale fingers. I was speechless for a moment. Fear was like an overwhelming fishing net, covering my whole body in an instant, eroding every cell of my body. He found out. I couldn't admit it. Husband, what are you holding? I forced a smile. Shinjia stared at me coldly, and seeing that I was not panicking, he retracted his hand after a few seconds. Wife, have a good rest. Bang. The door was closed. A chill rose from the soles of my feet to the top of my head, and every move of Shinjia was full of weirdness and horror. He was definitely not normal. I had goosebumps and lay down again, but I didn't dare to fall asleep easily. In the morning, Shinjia called me to eat. Wife, did you sleep well last night? Shinjia poured me a glass of milk, his cold face full of concern. It seemed that the person who scared me last night was not him at all. I was thinking. I must cover up the weirdness of last night and not let him get suspicious. Husband, I dreamed that my phone was lost, and I was looking for it everywhere. You suddenly took a piece of yellow paper to me, just like the ghost paper money burned in the middle of the night, which was particularly scary. The smile on Shinjia's face gradually disappeared, and his eyes stared at me grimly. Wife, it's not a dream, it's real. I broke out in cold sweat on my back, but pretended to be calm and raised my hand to scratch my hair. It must be a dream. You are almost a father, and you still make fun of me every day. Shinjia's gloomy expression gradually relaxed, and there was a trace of vigilance in his eyes. My wife knows me best. I'm glad you're okay. I'll go to work first. When we got to the door, he suddenly said, "Don't go out these 2 days." Then, I heard the sound of the security door being locked from the outside. He still doesn't believe me. He locked me in the house. I immediately went back to the bedroom to search the bag. The red cloth was still there. The 2 sewing dolls wrapped inside were gone. For only Shinjia and I were at home last night. He must have taken them away. So, the culprit who hid the voodoo doll under my bed was also Shinjia. He had known that Su Jiaojiao had changed my tires. Why did he do this? Since I got pregnant, Shinjia was worried that it would affect my rest, so he took the initiative to propose living in separate rooms. Could it be that he had found a new lover? Is the child in Su Jiaojiao's belly Shinjia's? I racked my brains to think about it. They had only met twice, once at a wedding and once at a party. Su Jiaojiao's husband is very rich and better than Shinjia in every way. There is no reason for them to get together. When I was puzzled, my stomach began to ache like a scratching heart and liver. I immediately called the old man. Uncle, save me. My voice was shaking with pain. After listening to my story, the white-haired old man said firmly, "Don't worry about their relationship or purpose, just change the fetus first. The break can only work when it is with you. Keep looking. See you at the old place before noon. Tomorrow at noon, the 3-day period will be up. Change the tire and sit firmly. No one can save you." I didn't care about anything else. I rummaged through the boxes and cabinets to start a new round of searching. The wooden box under the bed was empty. In the cabinet, in the drawer, under the sofa, there was nothing. Watching the time pass by, I slumped on the ground, almost falling into despair. Where else have I not found? The toilet. I stood in the bathroom and observed. There were very few places to hide things in this small space. It must be in a hidden place. I looked left and right, and my eyes were fixed on the flush tank of the toilet. I opened it and finally found the voodoo doll. Shinjia wrapped it tightly with several plastic bags. I opened them one by one. The weird thing is there are 2 blood-red eyes painted on the face of the boy doll. The more I looked at it, the more uncomfortable and creepy I felt. I didn't have time to study it carefully, so I wrapped it with red cloth and immediately called the community's lock repair phone number. I lied that I had a quarrel with my husband and wanted a divorce. My husband was so angry that he locked me in the house and stopped me from going to work. He asked a locksmith to come and charge an extra 200 yuan. Finally, I left home. I went straight to the park. In a remote and deserted old place, I saw an old man with a white beard. "Uncle, I found the thing." I ran out of breath, and my stomach hurt more and more. I could only hunch on the chair. The old man opened the red cloth and his face changed suddenly. "This is..." People point to the eyes, and disaster will surely occur. I recalled the various abnormalities of Xinjia last night, and hurriedly asked, "Does it affect my tire change?" The old man did not answer, but cut the body of the voodoo doll with scissors. 2 pieces of paper fell out of the rags. The old man asked me, "Is this your birthday?" I picked it up and took a look. The female ghost doll had my birth date written on it. The male ghost doll had Xinjia's birth date written on it. "This one is mine, and the other one is my husband's." The old man frowned. "Your best friend is really vicious." I was puzzled. The old man told me, "The art of changing tires is an evil way. Once you take this step, you have to bear the consequences." The objects that hold down the brakes should be 2 pregnant women. The one holding the knife has a bulging belly, and the one tied up has her abdomen cut open. Su Jiaojiao changed her tires, and she took the consequences herself. But now, the cause planted by Su Jiaojiao has become your husband. The old man sighed, "Practicing evil magic, and not letting it backfire, your best friend is really capable." I was confused. What are the consequences? Xinjia is not stupid, how could he agree voluntarily? The old man took out a brazier from a black bag and said to me, "It may be a serious illness or a loss of money. If you have enough blessings, the bad consequences will be mild. If you have no blessings, the bad consequences will be very serious." For some reason, I felt a little happy when I heard that Xinjia was punished. The old man calculated the time and threw 2 tattered witch dolls into the brazier. He took out 2 spells and stuck them on the dolls' foreheads. Then he handed me a silver needle. "Prick your finger and drip the spell paper. Sacrifice your blood to break the fetus replacement technique." I pierced my finger without hesitation. As long as I can save the fetus in my belly, I am willing to pay any price. The old man focused slightly, lit a match and threw it into the brazier. The flames jumped wildly. The old man chanted some kind of spell. I heard bursts of indescribable crying in my ears. It was like a call from another world, with an indescribable chill that made my hair stand on end. Until the voodoo doll burned to ashes and scattered with the wind. The strange crying sound disappeared. The old man put away the brazier and breathed a sigh of relief, as if he had consumed a lot of physical strength. "To break her evil spell, you only need to find your best friend before noon tomorrow, touch her belly, and draw 3 circles clockwise, and the baby spirit you replaced will come back." He gave me another rectangular red cloth, with several symbols I couldn't understand. "When you see her, wrap the red cloth around your belly to ward off evil spirits. Even if your best friend touches your belly again, don't worry. For safety, you'd better bring a self-defense tool. You also need to think of a way. She won't see you easily before the tire is changed and firmly seated. You can only use the fetus in your belly as an excuse to trick her into meeting. And tonight is the most dangerous night for you." I just breathed a sigh of relief, and my nerves tightened again. "Why do you say that, sir?" The old man's face was stern, and deep worry was revealed between his brows. Your husband drew eyes on the face of the ghost, just like a paper-making craftsman cannot add eyes to a paperman. The two are the same reason. The ghost should not stay in the world of the living. If you draw black eyes with a pen, they will be greedy for the world and unwilling to leave, attracting evil spirits to make trouble. If you feed it with blood and draw red eyes. The old man looked solemn. It will condense the yin energy, which is extremely fierce. At the least, the family will be restless, and at the worst, the family will be broken and people will die. My hanging heart suddenly sank. Isn't Shinjia seeking his own death? Why did my husband do this? The old man took out a peachwood sword, gently placed it in my palm, and patted the back of my hand. He said meaningfully, "Girl, you are destined to be a widow, why bother? Your husband won't live long." After leaving the park, I didn't go home immediately. My primary goal now is to meet Su Jiaojiao. I can't wait until tomorrow. No matter how dangerous tonight is, I can't wait until tomorrow noon. If I fail, I can't afford to lose. Su Jiaojiao and Shinjia have colluded to harm me. As long as I contact Su Jiaojiao, she will definitely ask Shinjia to stop me. Why not? I will use Shinjia as bait directly. I found the color ultrasound photos of the corresponding pregnancy period shared by netizens on social software. After taking screenshots, I used photo editing software to change the name, date, and hospital. I sent a private message to the netizen. I borrowed it politely. I use it to save lives. It is not for profit, and I can pay for it. Then, I took a taxi to the hospital. I sat in the rest area and sent the picture to Shinjia. "Husband, why did you lock the door?" "I found a locksmith and came to the hospital now. I just finished the color ultrasound." Within a minute, Shinjia called me back. "Honey, why did you go out? Didn't I tell you not to run around?" I said coquettishly, "Honey, my stomach hurts, I'm in a hurry to come for a prenatal checkup." "Are you worried about me?" Shinjia's tone was stiff, a little guilty. "Yes, you are still pregnant, you should stay at home to take good care of the baby." I laughed crisply. "Don't worry, the child is healthy. The color ultrasound results just came out. I sent it to you. Take a look. Now you can hear the fetal heartbeat. There is nothing wrong with our baby. The doctor said that the fetus is developing normally and meets the standards. The abdominal pain is just an illusion caused by my excessive mental pressure." There was silence on the other side. "Honey? Are you too happy?" "I don't know what to say when I'm happy. I'm resting in the hospital. Do you want to pick me up? Let's celebrate." Shinjia's cold voice was mixed with unbelievable. "Okay, wait for me for a while." After hanging up the phone, I dialed Su Jiaojiao's number again. She didn't answer. I sent her a voice message. "Jiaojiao. Have you had your prenatal checkup these days? I just checked it out and the fetus is fine. The doctor asked me to take vitamins. Do you have any recommended brands?" She didn't reply. I clenched my phone and waited patiently. If Su Jiaojia didn't show up, I could only go to her house to make trouble. She did such a crooked and evil thing, and I guess her rich husband doesn't know. After a long 10 minutes, Su Jiaojia replied to me. "Sume, I also want to go to the hospital for a checkup. I haven't been there for a long time. Wait for me for a while, come with me." I thought about it. What if she was testing me? Refuse first, let Su Jiaojiao believe that she failed to change the tire. If she failed the first time, she would still be greedy and try the second time. This is my chance to see her. I'm not going. Shinjia will come to pick me up later. Su Jiaojiao called directly. "Sume, it's only 2:30 now, why are you going back? It's so boring." I said reluctantly, "We are both pregnant women, and taking care of the fetus is the most important thing. After giving birth, there will be plenty of opportunities to get together." Seeing that I rejected her, Su Jiaojiao became more determined to come to me. "Shinjia gets off work at 5 o'clock, what are you waiting for? By the way, accompany me for the prenatal checkup. We won't go shopping. After the checkup, my husband will come to pick me up." I remained silent. Su Jiaojia was anxious. "Sume, are you hiding something from me? Are you afraid to see me?" I pretended to be extremely embarrassed and smiled awkwardly. "Don't think too much. Hey, if you want to come, just come." I hung up the phone. I went straight to the bathroom and wrapped the red cloth I prepared in advance around my belly several times and tied it tightly. I took out the anti-wolf spray from my bag and put it in my clothes pocket. I was ready, just waiting for a fight to the death with Su Jiaojiao. After not seeing her for a few days, Su Jiaojiao looked very bad. Her pale cheeks seemed to have lost all the color, and her eyes looked particularly haggard and weak. Here. I waved at her. Su Jiaojiao walked towards me, her erratic eyes occasionally sweeping across my belly. Sumei, is your color Doppler ultrasound really okay? I put my messenger bag in front of my body, deliberately covering my abdomen. Of course it's okay, the fetus is developing normally. From your tone just now, why are you still hoping that I'm not well? Su Jiaojiao's eyes suddenly darkened. It was as if the light of hope was shattered in an instant. Under her pale skin, slightly red blood vessels could be vaguely seen, and she looked fragile and helpless. Sumei, we are best friends, and I naturally hope that you can have a smooth delivery. She forced a smile and approached me as before. Your daughter will be my son's wife in the future. Let me see if my daughter-in-law is obedient. After saying that, Su Jiaojiao reached out and touched my belly. I stood up in time. I want to go to the toilet, do you want to go? There are many people here, and if we really get into a fight, it will be inconvenient for me, and even more inconvenient for her. Su Jiaojiao's smile was a little awkward. Okay, let's go together. There is no surveillance in the women's bathroom. I have just observed it. I walked from the first cubicle to the last cubicle, and when I was sure that no one was there, I reached out and grabbed the anti-wolf spray in my pocket. Sumei, why don't you go? Su Jiaojiao has been following me. She wanted to wait for me to enter the narrow space, surround me, and make me unable to fight back. Coincidentally, I thought so too. I stepped into the cubicle. A force pushed hard on my back. I stumbled and held the wall to avoid falling. Su Jiaojiao squeezed in and reached out to touch my belly. I turned around quickly, aimed the anti-wolf spray at Su Jiaojiao's face, and sprayed it. Ah! The strong stimulation made Su Jiaojiao retract her hand, cover her face, unable to open her eyes, and could only scream. I seized the time, pressed my other hand on her belly, and drew 3 circles clockwise. Su Jiaojiao, you hurt me, don't blame me for fighting back. I pushed her away and ran away in a hurry. Finally, my fetus was replaced. As long as I hold on until tomorrow noon, Su Jiaojiao's conspiracy will be completely shattered. I dare not go home. The old man said that tonight is the most difficult night. Shinjia is crazy for some reason. He actually used blood to open the eyes of the Yin people. He is seeking death, but I don't want to be buried with him. I found a hotel and booked a room. Lying alone in bed, thinking back to the experiences of the past 2 days, I couldn't help but burst into tears. The old man said that I was destined to be a widow. It seems that there is no need for divorce, I can just go back to my parents' home. I took out my mobile phone to grab tickets. The tickets for the past 2 days are all sold out. The fastest high-speed train will depart tomorrow afternoon. I placed an order immediately. Bang bang bang. My heart just calmed down, and there was a violent knock on the door outside. Hello, Miss Su. We are from the police station. You are suspected of fighting together. Please cooperate with the investigation. I quietly walked to the door and looked through the cat's eye. It was indeed 2 people in police uniforms. I could only open the door and explain, you have the wrong person. Su Jiaojiao suddenly jumped out against the wall. It's her. Sumei is the murderer. She almost killed 2 people. It turned out that Su Jiaojiao took the initiative to call the police. I said confidently, you hurt me first, I was acting in self-defense. The police listened to our story about the dispute in the hospital and suggested reconciliation. But Su Jiaojiao was not willing to give in. I lost my baby, it's Sumei's fault. I want to sue her for intentional injury. I sneered, okay, then let's go to court and investigate it carefully. The bad things she did will definitely leave evidence. Su Jiaojiao, when did your pregnancy stop? The hospital has medical records and surveillance. How did you hurt me privately? Call records, chat content, including the things you bought, can be found out sooner or later. Feudal superstitions really can't sentence you to jail. But you slandered me, I have the right to demand compensation. Su Jiajiao was speechless. The police persuaded us that there was no substantial harm after all, and hoped that we would take a step back. In the process of mediation. Ding dong dash. Su Jiajia's cell phone rang. She looked down and sighed. I am unlucky to have met Su Mei, my best friend. I will just not have any contact with her in the future. I am the one who called the police. I am willing to reconcile. Thank you for your trouble. I was slightly startled. She was just like a street-swearing shrew, and she was determined to fight me to the death. Now, why did she change her face so quickly? Did she figure it out again? There must be something fishy. Su Jiajiao sent the police away. I immediately took out my cell phone from my bag and hid it under the pillow. She quickly turned back. Su Mei, did you know that my tire stopped a long time ago? I stared at her vigilantly. The art of changing tires, you are so crazy. Su Jiajiao laughed bitterly at herself. Haha. Am I crazy? Am I born like this? I was forced to do this. My husband is a rich second generation, but my family is poor. We haven't had a child for 3 years, and my parents-in-law are forcing us to divorce every day. I finally got pregnant, and the child is all my hope. I must give birth to a son to maintain my position as a rich wife. But God is so cruel to me. My pregnancy has stopped. I dare not tell my in-laws. I am afraid of divorce. I don't want to live a hard life. Su Jiajiao walked towards me step by step. Her angry expression made her look a little crazy. You are pregnant at this time. This is my only chance. I found a Thai master to teach me the art of changing the fetus. I don't want to hurt you, but to save my marriage. She ripped off her clothes like crazy, touched her belly, and began to cry. Su Mei, we are best friends, why don't you help me once? I really saw it now. Her belly had lost its skin color, and was covered with dense black spots. The belly was uneven, like a complicated tree root. I didn't sympathize with her. I just thought it was a case of reaping what one has sown. Su Jiajiao, go away. Your misfortune was not caused by me. Your pain was not caused by me. Su Jiajiao raised her hand and wiped away her tears, looked at me and smiled. Su Mei, I hate your pretentiousness the most. Guess why I called the police when we had a fight in the hospital toilet? My hair stood on end, and my heart sank to the bottom of the valley in an instant. She laughed wildly, hee hee, of course it's to find you. She stumbled out. I grabbed the phone and called the old man. Shinjia broke into the room. I threw down the phone and forced a smile. Honey, why are you here? Shinjia waved the marriage certificate in his hand. You are my wife, I will live wherever you are. I said loudly, number 120, Xianan Street, West 12th Road, room 411, Mango Hotel. The address was told to you by Su Jiajiao, right? Shinjia did not answer. His sinister eyes swept over me and landed on the phone that was placed upside down at the foot of the bed. Wife, are you tipping off? He found out. I picked up the phone and turned off the screen. You misunderstood, Su Jiajiao is trying to sow discord, don't listen to her. I'm still pregnant with your child, I'm your closest person. Shinjia grabbed my wrist fiercely, his eyes flashing with scarlet murderous light. Just like last night, when he was peeping at me while lying in the crack of the door. The child can still be born again. I clearly told you that we will have plenty of opportunities to have children in the future, why didn't you listen? Snap. Shinjia slapped me hard. I didn't react for a moment and was knocked over by him. It seems that he is going to break the jar, so I don't have to pretend to be sweet and play along with him anymore. Shinjia, everything has cause and effect. Su Jiajiao planted the evil cause, and you have to bear the evil consequences. Are you really willing? Shinjia stretched out his palm to me. 5 million. Su Jiajiao and I signed an agreement that as long as the fetal replacement technique is successful, she will give me a compensation of 5 million. I curled my lips and sneered. Su Jiaojiao is not favored in her husband's family. Can she give you 5 million? You only see that she is a rich wife, but you don't understand her situation at all. Shen Jia was stupid, as if he couldn't listen to me, muttering randomly, I earn 5,000 a month, and if I don't eat or drink, it will take me 83 years to save 5 million. I'm 30 years old this year, and I can't make 5 million in my life. The more he talked, the more excited he became. He angrily grabbed the ashtray on the coffee table and smashed it on me. Su Mei. Why do you want to destroy my wealth? Using one of our fetuses in exchange for 5 million, no one will refuse. I endured the pain and stood up with the help of the windowsill. I don't want to. My child is a priceless treasure. Why should I give it to Su Jiaojiao? I don't want to die. Shen Jia raised his head. His expression gradually changed from ferocious to indifferent, as if all hope was taken away, and finally turned into a lifeless, dead despair. Su Jiaojiao said that if you die, the baby spirit can't return to the mother's body, and she still has a chance of success. Su Mei, I can't bear to kill you, and I don't want to go to jail. I can't think of a better way except letting you commit suicide. At this moment, I didn't care about Shen Jia's sadness. Because behind him, in the bed sheet, a three-dimensional human figure slowly arched up. It was like some evil spirit got into the bed sheet and slowly sat up. Su Mei, we are husband and wife, you will help me, right? Shen Jia was still immersed in his own imagination and didn't notice the danger coming. It's coming. I pointed at his back. You used blood to open the eyes of the Yin people, and the evil spirit you provoked came to find you. Shen Jia looked confused. Su Mei, you really are you going to lie to me when you are about to die? He turned around as he spoke. Ah. When he saw the human figure bulging high on the bed, he was really shocked. Tick-tock, the sound of blood falling to the ground. The roof began to ooze blood. Drop by drop, it fell to the ground. The light flickered. Shen Jia ran away. The door seemed to be locked, and no matter how he slapped, pushed, and pulled frantically, it didn't move at all. The figure under the sheet attacked indiscriminately and suddenly rushed towards me. I clenched the peachwood sword given by the old man and stabbed forward. Schwa, the bed sheet lost its support and fell to the ground. But the lights in the room were still flickering. It didn't leave. Shen Jia noticed what I was holding, realized that the evil thing was afraid of this sword, and turned back to snatch it. Squeak! While he was struggling with me, the closet door suddenly made a hoarse and harsh sound. We both looked at it at the same time. The closet door slowly opened. Two withered hands holding knives stretched out twistedly. Then, an evil creature like a puppet came out, with a face as white as paper and eyes as bloodshot. Shen Jia, it's all your fault for giving the evil spirit a look. It's going to take your life. I cursed angrily. While Shen Jia was stunned, I stuck to the wall and moved towards the door little by little. The evil spirit shook its strange limbs and made a strange kill-kill sound in its throat. Every time the light went out, it flashed forward one step. Shen Jia's voice trembled and his legs trembled. It's Su Jiaojiao. She told me that doing this can calm your fetal spirit. I walked quietly and cursed loudly. To distract Shen Jia's attention. Su Jiaojiao wants to harm you. If she succeeds in getting pregnant and you die, it's just right that she doesn't have to pay. You have been used by her from beginning to end. Shen Jia almost cried. Wife, save me. As soon as he finished speaking, he ran towards me. At the same time, the evil spirit flashed in front of him. The two of them bumped into each other. I took the opportunity to rush to the door. Broken. The old man's shout rang out in the corridor. I pressed the handle and it opened easily. There was a hysterical scream behind me. I stepped into the corridor. All the sounds disappeared instantly. As if they were shielded by a terrible magnetic field. The door slammed shut. The surroundings were as quiet as death. I saw the old man who saved my life downstairs in the hotel. Uncle, thank you. I escaped death and burst into tears. The old man took out a compass and chanted a spell. Northeast, find a high place to hide, and wait until tomorrow noon, the baby spirit will find you. I nodded desperately. My cell phone was gone, but fortunately I had my ID and card with me. I followed the direction pointed by the old man and booked a new hotel and lived on the top floor. I found an ATM and gave the balance to the old man. I wanted to give more. When I got married, my parents felt sorry for me marrying far away and gave me a lot of dowry. The old man shook his head and refused. Girl, you are destined to be lonely, and your marriage is destined to have a bad ending. Keep your money and use it to raise children in the future. I took the money I deserved and did what I should do, and you and I are even now. Girl, keep the peachwood sword and red cloth I gave you. If you are trapped by love again in the future, you can still use them. I thanked him repeatedly. The old man carried his bag and set off. I asked him where he lived. He only said, the sky is high and the road is long, the world is my home. The next day, I slept peacefully until noon. The sun was shining brightly outside the window. I called the front desk and told them that my phone was lost, asking them to order takeout and help buy a new one. It was already 1 p.m. when I got the new phone. I checked out and went straight to the high-speed rail station. While waiting for the train, a piece of news caught my attention. In room 411 of Mango Hotel, a man committed suicide by jumping off the building at 4 a.m. The 4-story building is not high, but unfortunately he landed head first and died on the spot, although the police cordoned off the scene. But there were still hotel staff who took a few photos and posted them online for interpretation. On the walls, on the sheets, on the floor. 3 big characters were written in blood: Su Jiao Jiao. This murder case is inseparable from her. She had calculated everything, and the dream of this rich wife was about to be completely shattered. I took the train back to my hometown in a good mood. Mom and Dad were still waiting for me. After enduring the storm, there will be a rainbow. The end.